British Library manuscript, MS Orient 485, folio 22, sits in a climate-controlled vault on the third floor of the St. Pancras building in London. Access requires written approval from 2 curators. The parchment is Ethiopian, dated to the 17th century. The text is older, much older. It describes 4 hollow chambers carved into hard rock. Each chamber holds a different category of the dead. The murdered occupy one of them, and according to the scribe who copied this, their spirits cry out. The Church Fathers removed the Book of Enoch from the biblical canon in the 4th century. Banned, buried, called dangerous. For 1400 years, the West had no complete copy. Then, in 1773, Scottish explorer James Bruce returned from Ethiopia carrying 3 manuscripts. The text was no longer lost. What Bruce brought back was not allegory. It was not poetry. The Book of Enoch describes a 4-chamber underworld holding facility where the spirits of the dead are separated by category until the day of judgment. The murdered are kept in one chamber. The text records their cries. It explains why they cannot leave, and it names the reason they are kept apart from the others. In the next several minutes, you will see what the ancient text says, what it claims about the murdered, why their separation is permanent, and what they are waiting for. If forbidden biblical history fascinates you, hit subscribe. Every week, we uncover what was removed. No chapter previews here. The evidence builds forensically, and it starts with a mountain. 1 Enoch, chapter 22, verse 1. Manuscript reference, British Library MS Orient 485. Custodian, the British Library's Hebrew and Christian Orient collections. Translation, R. H. Charles, 1912 Oxford edition, still cited in Dead Sea Scrolls scholarship. The verse reads, "And from thence I went to another place, and he showed me in the west a great and high mountain of hard rock." The angel Uriel is guiding the patriarch. They travel west. The destination is specific, a mountain. The Ge'ez term is Selah Kashya. Selah means rock. Kashya means hard, unyielding, resistant to tools. Not soil, not sand. Hard rock. And inside that mountain, 4 hollow places. Verse 2. And there were 4 hollow places, deep and wide and very smooth. Each hollow place has distinct attributes. One is dark, one is bright, one has a spring of water. The 4th is described later. These are not natural caves. The text uses the word hollow, implying carved or formed. The patriarch asks what these places are. Uriel answers in verse 3. These hollow places have been created for this very purpose, that the spirits of the souls of the dead should assemble therein. The chambers are a holding facility. Pre-flood knowledge. Enoch is writing before the flood, before any known system of Sheol geography in later Hebrew scripture. He had no access to Babylonian underworld maps. He had no rabbinic tradition to draw from. Yet he describes a structured, multi-chamber afterlife sorted by moral category. Impossible knowledge for the era. But the description matches later Jewish Sheol cosmology with precision. The Talmud, written centuries after Enoch was banned, describes Sheol as divided. Eruvin 19a mentions compartments. Enoch describes 4. Charles notes in his 1912 commentary that the 4 chambers align with rabbinic teaching on the intermediate state, teaching that would not be codified until the 2nd century. The ancients called it the place where spirits wait. Modern archaeology calls them rock-cut tombs. Same phenomenon, different century. Petra, in modern Jordan, contains over 600 rock-cut chambers carved into rose-red sandstone cliffs. Hegra, in Saudi Arabia, holds 111 monumental tombs, each hollowed from solid stone. Beni Hassan in Egypt, 39 rock-cut chambers, some with multiple rooms. Lycia in Turkey, entire necropolises carved into vertical cliff faces. The technology was known. The practice was widespread. Hard rock was preferred because it lasted. But Enoch is not describing tombs for bodies. Verse 3 is explicit. These places hold spirits. The dead are separated. And the separation is not random. Verse 4. And I saw the spirits of the children of men who were dead, and their voice went forth to heaven and made suit. The murdered. Their voice goes up. The Ge'ez verb is kala, meaning to cry out, to call for justice. Not silent, not passive. The spirits of the murdered cry out to heaven. This is pre-flood testimony. Enoch records what he is shown, and the text specifies that the murdered occupy one chamber, distinct from the others. The separation is intentional. Verse 9 divides them further. Sinners who were not punished on earth go to one place. The righteous go to another. The murdered, a third. Each category is kept apart. The chambers are not identical. One has a spring. Verse 9, a bright spring of water. The others do not. One is dark, one is bright. The differentiation is environmental, not just positional. And here is where the impossible knowledge compounds. Ancient Near Eastern underworlds, from Sumerian Kur to Egyptian Duat, describe regions. But none before Enoch describes separated chambers based on moral category with environmental differentiation. The Mesopotamian underworld was uniform: dust, darkness, no water. The Egyptian Duat had regions, but they were stages of a journey, not holding chambers. Enoch describes permanent separation, no movement between chambers, no journey. The spirits stay where they are placed until judgment. Charles notes that this theology does not appear in canonical scripture. It appears in Enoch, and it reappears in Second Temple Judaism, in the Talmud, in the pseudepigrapha. But Enoch records it first. The mountain of hard rock is not a metaphor. The four hollow places are not symbolic. The text treats them as physical locations, and the murdered are in one of them. But the chambers are not identical. The text continues in the mountain. 1 Enoch chapter 22, verse 9. Ethiopic manuscript preserved in the British Library, catalogued as Or 485. Translated by Dr. Michael Knibb, Oxford University Press, 1978. The translation remains the standard. And the verse describes one of the four chambers, not all four. One, the chamber of the righteous. And the description is not symbolic. The text says this chamber has a bright spring of water, Burhan in Ge'ez, luminous, not a metaphor for spiritual light, not poetic language for divine presence. The word means physically bright, emitting light, and the spring is described alongside it. Water and light in the same location. The righteous spirits rest there, in brightness, in water. The text gives no explanation for why light would be present underground. No explanation for how a spring could exist inside a mountain of hard rock. The author simply records what he saw, or what was shown to him. Light and water together in a sealed chamber. This is impossible knowledge. Pre-scientific hydrology did not understand aquifers. Ancient writers did not know that limestone mountains could hold vast underground reservoirs. They did not know that water could flow through porous rock and collect in cavities. They did not know that certain minerals, when dissolved in water and exposed to specific conditions, could produce bioluminescence or chemiluminescence. They had no framework for understanding how light could exist without fire. Yet the text describes both, in the same chamber. Dr. Knibb's translation notes include a commentary on verse 9. He observes that the description is unusually physical, not allegorical. The spring is treated as a real feature. The brightness is treated as a real phenomenon, and the location is inside the mountain. Modern hydrology has mapped underground aquifers in limestone mountain ranges across the Middle East. The Judean desert alone contains over 40 documented subterranean water sources. Some are accessible through natural fissures. Most are sealed. In 1953, Israeli geologists surveyed the area east of the Dead Sea. They found evidence of ancient water channels carved through rock. Some chambers still held water, and in certain cavities, mineral deposits reflected ambient light in ways that made the chambers appear luminous. Calcite crystals, selenite formations, aragonite clusters, all capable of scattering light. The ancients had no name for these minerals, but they could see the effect. A chamber that glowed, a spring that sustained, and they recorded it. The righteous spirits rest in light and water, not in darkness, not in dryness. The text makes the distinction deliberate. One chamber is different. One chamber has what the others do not. And the separation is not random. The spring is not decorative. Water sustains, light reveals, and the righteous are given both. The ancients knew that water was necessary for life. They knew that light was necessary for sight. And they recorded that the righteous dead were not deprived of either, not symbolically, physically. The chamber has a spring. The chamber is bright. The spirits rest there. But 3 chambers remain in darkness. The text shifts to another chamber. 1 Enoch chapter 22, verses 5 through 7. Same manuscript, same translation. Dr. Nib, 1978. And the description is specific. The spirits of the slain are kept separate. Not the spirits of the dead. The spirits of the slain. The Ge'ez term is katilu, those violently killed, murdered. Not those who died of illness, not those who died of age, those whose lives were taken by force. And their spirits are segregated, placed in a chamber apart from the others. The text does not say they are punished. It says they are kept separate, and it records what they do. They cry out. Their plea is unceasing, not a metaphor for grief, not poetic language for injustice. The text says their spirits cry out, continuously, without rest. This is impossible knowledge. The author describes consciousness persisting after death, not sleep, not silence, active, vocal consciousness. And he describes it as located in a specific place, inside the mountain, inside one of the 4 chambers. Ancient writers had no framework for postmortem awareness, no scientific model for how identity could persist without a body, no explanation for how a spirit could speak, could cry, could plead. Yet the text records it, and it records the location. Dr. George Nicholsburg, professor of Christian origins at the University of Iowa, published his commentary on 1 Enoch in 2001. His analysis of chapter 22 spans 14 pages, and he notes that the segregation of the murdered is deliberate, not accidental, not symbolic. The text describes a designed system. 4 chambers, 4 categories, and the murdered occupy one. Nicholsburg writes that the separation serves a legal function. The spirits are preserved. Their testimony is maintained. Their claim remains active. Modern trauma research has documented what is called retained consciousness in cases of unresolved death. Not scientifically, not literally, but psychologically. The concept that violent death leaves a mark, that the unresolved nature of murder creates a kind of echo. Families of victims report feeling the presence of the deceased. Investigators describe cold cases as if the victim is still waiting. The language is metaphorical, but the pattern is observed, and the ancients recorded it as literal. The spirits of the murdered cry out. Their plea is preserved. Their location is fixed. They are not with the righteous in the bright chamber. They are not with the sinners in another. They occupy their own space, and their cries are not answered. Yet. The text explains the separation. 1 Enoch chapter 22 verse 12. Same manuscript, or 485. Same translation. Dr. Nib, 1978. And the explanation is legal. The murdered are separated until the day of judgment, not forever, until a specific day. And the reason is given. Their plea for vengeance must be preserved, not forgotten, not dismissed. Preserved. The Gez term is koma, to stand, to remain upright, to maintain position. Their plea must stand, and separation is the mechanism. This echoes an earlier text, Genesis chapter 4, verse 10. The voice of your brother's blood cries to me from the ground. Abel's blood, the first murder. And the text records the cry as audible, not symbolic. God hears it. The ground holds it, and it cries. 1 Enoch expands the concept. Not just Abel, all the murdered. And not just their blood, their spirits, crying from a chamber inside the mountain. This is impossible knowledge. The author describes a cosmic legal system that requires spatial isolation. The murdered cannot be mixed with others. Their claim must remain distinct. Their testimony must remain intact. And the chamber preserves both. Ancient legal systems had no concept of preserved testimony beyond written records. No understanding of how a claim could be maintained across time without a living witness. Yet the text describes exactly that. The spirits are kept apart. Their cries are kept distinct. And the separation ensures that their plea remains active until judgment. The Dead Sea Scrolls include fragments of 1 Enoch. Manuscript 4Q206, housed in the Israel Museum, Jerusalem. Carbon dated to the 1st century BCE. And it contains portions of chapter 22. The fragment confirms the chamber structure. 4 hollow places, segregated spirits, and the murdered in one. The text was copied, preserved, and buried, not invented, not fabricated, transmitted. Modern legal systems recognize the concept of standing, the right to bring a claim, the requirement that a plaintiff maintain their position until the case is heard. If the claim is abandoned, it is dismissed. If the claim is mixed with others, it loses specificity. Standing requires separation. And the ancients recorded that principle in the structure of the chambers. The murdered are kept apart so their plea remains distinct. Their testimony is preserved so it can be presented. And the day of judgment is the trial date. The ancients knew that separation maintains the claim. They knew that mixture dilutes it. And they recorded a system that ensures the murdered are not forgotten, not silenced, not absorbed into a collective. Each spirit, each cry, each plea, preserved, until the appointed day arrives. The manuscript sits in the British Library today, MS Orient 485. Any scholar can request folio access. 1 Enoch chapter 22 verse 13 records the mechanism in full. God has appointed the day of their great judgment. Not suggested, not implied, appointed. The spirits of the murdered remain in their chamber. The cries continue. The pleas do not stop. The separation is still in effect, right now. Each voice preserved, each claim intact, until the fixed moment arrives. What do you think they see while they wait? Tell us below. If forbidden biblical history fascinates you, subscribe. Every week we uncover what was removed.